With a December 2011 jobs report showing signs of growth, could it be a signal for what may lay ahead in 2012? And what impact may it have on all those either looking to restart or continue their job search? Joining me now is career counselor and executive coach Roy Cohen, who's author of the Wall Street Professional's Survival Guide. Hello, Roy. Good to see you again.
Hi, great to see you too.
What's changed in 2012? What are we looking at in terms of the economy?
Well, 2011 was not a great time for a lot of folks. 2012 is going to be a soft market and a rather challenging economy, but there are some bright spots. We're seeing increased hiring in healthcare and hospitality, service businesses, and people who are focusing more on entrepreneurial activities are emerging, because I think with large companies beginning to disappear, a lot of folks are relying more independently on finding ways to support themselves, and that's kind of exciting. The opportunity to really sort of figure out how you can independently create opportunity for yourself.
Okay, so it's interesting. More of the jobs right now, healthcare, tourism, and hospitality. Let's say you had a business background. You were a compliance officer, say, but you want to get in on where the jobs are. How do you tailor your experience to at least look like it fits that type of job?
Well, I would hope that all of my clients were ex-compliance officers, because the market would be so receptive to that skill set. It's we live in and work in an environment now where there's an emphasis on control and policing, and having a background like that is really very attractive out in the marketplace. So what we need to do then is, if we've been working independently for a while, we need to create a resume that looks very structured and appropriate for a permanent position. If we've been working entrepreneurially for a while and we want to go back into a traditional job, then to emphasize how much we've enjoyed being an entrepreneur is not a good technique or strategy. So we have to make our resume look like a traditional resume if we're wanting to present ourselves for traditional jobs. It's all about messaging.
Okay, so is it possible to take, one set of skills and make it look as if it can fit another job, or is that cheating, or can people see right through that?
No, absolutely. It's very possible to do something like that. For example, if you understand the functions that are critical in performing a job in an organization, and you've been working in a role that is more freeform and not quite so precise, you can actually organize it by categories. So within that role that you've been performing, you can say, here's where I match up. Here are the functional skills that I've developed, and here are some of the home runs that I've been responsible for that are tied very directly to the kinds of needs and qualifications that you, organization, may be looking for.
Okay, I could tell you're doing this a long time. All those words look very good on resumes. I like that. Qualifications,
yes.
Functions. Tell me about those who've been looking for a long time now. What challenges do they face going forward? And what can they do to seem fresh?
That's a good word. Keeping it fresh is critical in this market. When you've been out for a while, there's the burden of a collective job search that you wear on your shoulders, and also on in your demeanor. And when we go out to market, we've got to be really careful that that's not what we're presenting to the marketplace. We need to be enthusiastic, passionate. We need to stay connected to the marketplace. In fact, I was talking to a journalist yesterday, and she said, well, what can we do to maintain that enthusiasm? Participate in industry events, associations, volunteer for leadership positions in those organizations. So you're out there, you're visible, you're taking on initiatives that keep you fresh and current, and in contact with folks who are dealing with the very issues that you're going to be handling and responsible for when you're back at work.
As far as economies go, it looks like we may be inching toward improvements here. You get the feeling at some point maybe companies will all of a sudden start hiring, and there's going to be a rush of jobs out there, and it'll be happy times for all. Is that realistic, or is this going to continue to be slow progression?
I am a job search conservative,
okay.
And I take a very cautious approach to the market. And I think about the short term. I also think about the long term. Over the long term, my expectation is that the market will improve. But for the immediate future, we need to take action and do whatever we need to do right now in order to present ourselves in the very best possible light. So what do I need to do right now? One, to pay the mortgage, to pay taxes, to put food on the table. What steps do I need to take? And then over time, what can I do to position it so that I'm able to get people excited about me?
Okay. Finally, let's say you've been looking for a long time. You sent someone a resume for a job at a big company a year ago. When do they purge that from the system, get rid of it in terms of human resources? When do you resend?
I would follow up immediately after sending it to make sure that it's been received. And that's as simple as just calling up and saying, gee, I wanted to make sure that you've got a copy of my resume, that it was actually received. Very excited about the position. Are there any steps that I need to take from my end to help in the decision-making process?
But very quickly, if you didn't get that job you were going for, do they just get rid of the resume after a while, or do they keep it on file?
Yes or no, they're usually on file, but the memory disappears.
Okay.
So it'll be on file, but
So
the memory...
keep calling.
So LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, whatever a vehicle is appropriate for your industry, stay in touch with that person, but send them meaningful information and updates.
Okay.
Important.
Good advice.
Okay.
Act as if you're giving them something, not asking for something.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, Roy Cohen, for joining us.